Welcome back to the Tim and Steve Show. I am Tim Beard.
I'm Steve Morris.
What's going on, Steve?
Trying to perfect the distance away because I want to talk like everybody on TV now. Because if you watch a show, anyone who's cool talks like this.
No, freaking Joe Biden, pedo Biden talks like that.
No, Joe Biden.
I had hairy legs, and the children would rub them.
Corn pop?
Corn pop.
No, I'm not emulating a Joe Biden. I'm more of a, I don't know, Jim Caviezel. I can't remember the name of the show. He would always say Finch.
Did you see the FBI is searching some more of his properties? Probably lost some stuff they're trying to find. Like, oh crap, what'd Joe do with that box that contained,
I saw that they've done a lot more than what the news has released, going all the way back to before the last election. So there's just buffoonery afoot. If you think that our government's not captured by hostile forces, if you want to call it that, hostile people, whatever makes you feel better at night, but we have not so American. I mean, just all you got to do is look at where all of our money's going, our money, our tax dollars. It's not going to solve the homeless problem. They're sending, what was it, $200 million to Pakistan to study LGBTQ relationships where it's not even socially acceptable there. So we're gonna go. So we're gonna what?
They're probably gonna spend that money
on propaganda
to see where's the best spot to hit them with the big stone and kill them quick or slow.
No,
because they'll stone you to death, right? I mean,
that's according. I mean, so that's the other thing is what do you even believe anymore? Because I've always and I think I told you this, since the 80s, I've been suspect of the news.
Anything that's been told to you?
Yeah. And, I was watching a Joe Rogan clip with Louis C.K., who, I'm not a fan. I was a fan of him, and then he had his, he got overzealous with his comedy routine, because I'm pretty sure his whole routine was based off of what he got in trouble for. But anyway, so he was saying that when he watched the news in the 70s, it was still Walter Cronkite and the other two guys, and it always seemed serious. There was a serious tone. And he said somewhere in the 80s, they started talking to him like this, with up and down, and then maybe that's what it was when I was a kid. I was like, who are they talking? I was 12. I just remember I was about 12 years old, and I was like, this is all fake. When I was a kid, not all of it, but you know what I mean? It wasn't truthful to me. I wasn't getting the full story.
It's now entertainment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not.
But I thought there's something to that because they still talk with that sing-songy voice. Even
I love Peter Jennings. And I'm sure if I look back as a kid, I'm like,
I could send you a picture of me sitting in his chair.
This dude,
ABC News.
This dude probably lied just like the ones today. I don't know, but I love Peter Jennings growing up, right? And the way he delivered he just had a good voice for it, right? And nowadays they have panels, kind of like you and me, but there's more of us. And they just talk about, opinions about the news. And I'm like, that's not your freaking job.
They don't even talk about it. They read it.
Right.
I got rid of cable, I don't know, off and on over the years. But I got rid of it the last time in 2020 or 2021. But I was watching something, and they were arguing. But with 4K TVs now, you can see, and I could see her acting like she was arguing back and forth with, some guy that was a Democrat. But so this was the conservative woman that was arguing on Fox. But she wasn't. She was it was supposed to be an organic disagreement, but you could literally see her reading, and then once I saw her eyes reading, I could just follow her movements, and nothing was true about it. So it was fake outrage on her point, just to get me to keep watching. And so I'm pretty sure the next day I said, I can't even watch a 5-minute clip on Fox News without getting angry, because that was more fair and balanced than anyone else. At least you get a conservative spill on it, because I say it all the time, I'm an independent, but I lean towards fiscal responsibility, individual responsibility, that kind of stuff. So
Fox News, fair and balanced.
It used to
now
be.
It's
now
unfair and unbalanced.
I mean, but it's weird. You watch Tucker Carlson, and he'll tell you things that I've been saying 2 years ago.
I know, he doesn't even fit the channel really anymore.
Yeah. But his news is still 2-year-old news if you go back and look at it. Like, it's all out there that you could have read. So it's like, why did he wait 2 years for it? Or 6 months or 6 weeks? So I appreciate some of the things that he was bringing to light, but at the end of the day, it's all fake. It's all garnered to elicit certain responses, from my opinion. It's only my opinion.
The problem, too, is they just talk about it. They don't do a damn thing, and it's the same every day. Like, okay, so what have you done today to try to help the situation?
Well, they're not going to do anything. Their job is just to report the news.
Yeah, but
I mean, they slip up, like that one morning show with a guy who was a congressman and one of his assistants was found dead in his office. Bresnik, whatever. It's on MSNBC. But she slipped up and said, we're supposed to be telling people what to think. One day, like, she got mad when Trump was saying it's fake news and stopped listening to him. And she was like, we're supposed to be the ones telling people what to think. What to think, right? So, like, she clearly understands her role is to influence how you approach everything. So they're influencers and they're propagandists at this point.
Well, so let's tell a little story about influencers, okay? So when we were in Florida, Lydia wanted to find Aussie bowls. Aussie, I don't know.
I can make her
Acai?
one. I learned, so we have the material. I can make one. Well, yeah, anyway, go ahead.
Right.
But we love those because they're in Hawaii, and so when Zeta was home,
Okay,
we
so
got all the equipment for it at Shaw's.
she likes them, wants them, blah, 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 because of YouTube, which, I mean, don't get me wrong.
They're good,
We would
though.
like to influence people like these people, but we just suck at it. But she wants it because she
Hey, we're
saw it.
influencing. By the way, get your anti-commie voter club shirt. You can't read it on the screen, but anti-commie voters club. I don't even know who makes it. What does it say?
Combat
Iron. Combat Iron. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So I Google it.
Just want to be an influencer.
It's cool, man. It's cool. So I Google it, and I'm like, because I'll try to find it for her, right? Like, I'm a sucker. Sure. I'll do whatever for my kids. All right. But so I Google it, and it comes up Aussie Bowl. Aussie. She's like, oh, that's acai. I'm like, it's Aussie, like Australia. Aussie. And
That's not what she wants.
no, but that's what I Googled, right? So we're arguing with her because, like, oh, this Google person's like acai or YouTube, right?
I don't know how to pronounce it because every time I ordered it in Hawaii, I got corrected by some
There's like
smug
acai
bowl
acai.
preparer.
You know. So
I called them cocoa chips, and it's cacao.
all you people that don't know, I was one 2 weeks ago. But an acai bowl from what we got in Florida, I found it for her. It was actually right next to the Metro Diner that we went to many days. Which, come find out, like, Guy Fieri was there. Like, it was a good diner. And it was really good food. But, like, 2 places down, there's, like, a juice bar place. And so I took her. I was like, all right, fine, we'll go there. And she's like, oh, they have them, you know. So there's, like, 3 options or whatever. She gets hers. And they're like, oh, do you want anything? I'm like, I got I don't know. It had, like, dragon fruit and strawberries, like, smoothie thing. It was actually really good. All fresh fruit.
We use dragon fruit in our acai bowls that we made here.
All it is a freaking parfait, man. I mean, it's not yogurt, but it's
Not
like a
parfait.
smoothie with fruit on top. Like, I mean, this is what this was at least.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
But it's a little bit thicker than a smoothie.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I had a couple bites, but the stuff in the bottom tastes more like my smoothie. It was good, and I have nothing. I was just irritated because it was like I saw it on YouTube, and I want to be cool like them because everything kids see on YouTube or. Not even YouTube. TikTok, especially. Oh, you got to be cool like this person. And it'll watch people.
It'd have been better if she wanted to be cool like me and Zeta, because we make them all the time.
You could say cool like Zeta, dude, but
I'm pretty freaking cool. I got my anti-commie voters club shirt on. I got my Texas Bucky's hat on. I'm pretty awesome.
We're cool maybe for our age in our own little world of the studio and our lives, but like the people they watch are cool to other people too, though, like in their mind. But what is like,
so how much was it though? May I ask? $16 for her bowl?
No, so 12,
something like that.
Oh, it is like, hey, let's they should open one of these in Newport, and I'm like, it will fail 2 weeks in. And she's like, oh no, but so between the smoothie and that was $20, which isn't horrible. And like I said, it's fresh fruit. I mean, I saw them take, like, it's not fake stuff. It costs what it costs because fruit and vegetables and stuff are expensive. But I'm like, people in Newport couldn't afford to keep this place in business. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could find, there's a core group of people. Like, we used to sell vegan stuff at the store. We'd get this, Andrea knows this lady down in Keene that makes it. And some of it actually was really good. And then other stuff was like, yeah, I'm not trying that because it's just me and I'm not going to try it because it sounds like nasty. So whatever. We'd have people come in and the stuff was expensive. And our markup on it was very small because you couldn't. Now, sometimes to sell it all out was good. A lot of times I'm like, if we don't sell all those or we're going to not make any money and just can't do this. Like, so unfortunately, like, it would be cool and it's healthy stuff, but it's hard, man, because it's.
Yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, I'm always dreaming. I have my cousin build me a barbecue pit so I could do my smoked brisket. And
see, barbecue you could do.
Nikki could do wings, and then I love snow cones, and I don't know anywhere really in Newport where you can get a snow cone. Now you can go to Cumberland down in Claremont, and you can get a.
It's not the same.
So it's not the same, exactly.
What is it?
It's like an icy.
There's a cone business around here. It's a truck. Man, I wish I knew it. I can see the truck and everything in my freaking mind. I just can't. It's a Klondike. Nah, I don't know. It's something cone. They had him at the racetrack down in Monadnock when I went down there a couple years ago with Paige and Lydia. And you get like a lei with it, you know. And it's really good. That's an icy. See, that could work. But you could definitely.
You could do it like all together. So you do wings, barbecue.
See, you could make that work.
Cones.
Barbecue's expensive because meat's expensive. Like, you could make barbecue work, but the parfait, like this, the juice store, whatever they call it, like that's a tough one, man.
I'm trying to. So we got at Shaw's, you can buy the acai, however you pronounce it. You can buy that in a packet and it's frozen, and then you can buy the superfruit, which you had mentioned. What kind of berries was it, or?
Hers, like she just had. Like strawberries, banana, blueberry on top or something.
No, there was one other berry.
Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. So you can buy frozen dragon fruit at Shaw's. And then you can buy a frozen mixed fruit. So you get like bananas and pineapple. And then you just dump all that in there. And then I put a little orange juice and maybe a tiny bit of milk just to give it a little thickness or whatever. But it's really thick, right? So it's hard to like blend it because it's not a smoothie.
Right.
So it took me a while to figure out how to actually get it layered
But the time
there.
you make that, dude, you're going to be like $30 in.
No, it wasn't that expensive. Like just
that's frozen stuff.
That's frozen stuff,
not fresh stuff.
Right. Well, I mean, we're in the mountains of New Hampshire. How are you going to get a acai delivered fresh? You're going to get the whatever the superfruit was. You just mentioned it. I already forgot.
Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit.
You know Alzheimer's?
No, I see the pink bag. I don't know why, because it's in a
just like I can see the ice tea truck. I can't remember the damn name of it.
Right. So I don't know. But they're good. So Zeta usually tops hers with like pineapple. You can get like coconut chips. You can get cacao chips.
I'm sure in Hawaii it's easy because all that fruit. Like there's
more tropical fruit there.
Right.
But.
So it was good.
If you haven't had one and you come across one, it's worth trying. I mean, if you got them, but they're kind of expensive. That's why I thought.
So it is acai. I have to apologize to Lydia. Lydia, I'm sorry. You won't watch this and see the apology, but it's okay.
Oh, why? You were told it's pronounced Aussie?
Yeah, because when we Googled it,
it's acai.
It didn't. It's like it's weird. It's 4 letters.
Right.
And I'm like, what? You're gonna try to find it.
Acai.
Yeah, there you go. ACAE.
ACAI.
Or I, sorry.
Acai. Acai.
Acai.
Acai.
But when I Googled it, it comes up like Aussie, and I couldn't even find it. Like it's freaking Google's fault. Then
it's Google's fault.
Freaking Google, stupid ass Google.
TikTok's fault for influencing her. But, I mean, it's a healthy... I'd rather eat that than donuts.
The one thing that's positive that come out of the experience of TikTok or YouTube or any of that. But what gets me is these kids nowadays, like, they want stuff like designer brands and stuff because they see people on TV and they think they're cool. Or not TV, on social media stuff, platforms, and think, oh, you're so cool. Like, they used to watch... Some of the things they watched were funny, and I have to admit, and be like, yeah, these guys are pretty freaking funny. But there's a bunch of different ones out there. And like, oh, they got rich on YouTube and whatever. And I'm looking at their house. I'm like, bullshit. They're freaking spoiled brats that freaking parents are millionaires, like multi-millionaires.
Yeah, most of them, I don't know about the multi-millionaires.
They came from money. Now, I have no problem with those kids saying, hey, let's do this ourselves, because that's taking an initiative and that's saying, hey, I want to build a business, and I am all for that. But don't think in your mind, like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, I'm going to be a millionaire because of it, and it's going to be easy and whatever. No, these people, they have money.
A lot of them start off with money. Mr. Beast says that he spent a lot of time trying to figure out the right thumbnail or whatever, but they also, they heat you up. I think that's what Mark Dice calls it. It's called heating. So close to cheating, right? So if we said things that YouTube like, they might heat us and prop us up, but you'll never find us in a recommended feed, probably.
No. Speaking of that, I haven't figured it out on this yet, which I need to. I've signed us up for a Rumble account yesterday. Oh, nice. Tim Steve Show NH on Rumble. So I'm going to try to put today's show on there if I can figure it out. Not so far, like, not really a fan. I'm not really a fan of anything. I like Facebook, probably because I know it. But any of the other social medias that have come out aren't similar enough. I don't think they're as user-friendly and stuff. Like, MySpace started it all, right? Like, I remember having a MySpace. Didn't want to go to, Facebook because I'm like, MySpace, And then I went to Facebook. I'm like, oh, well, like, I like Facebook, the way it's set up and stuff. But I hate the political crap, Facebook, fact checkers, and I hate Mark Zuckerberg. Like, he's a shitbag just like Bill Gates. So,
hate's such a strong word. You don't even know him.
Despise? Dude, I think he's like a lizard man or something. You ever look at him?
He's pretty creepy to look at.
He's pretty creepy. Like, he doesn't, I don't know.
I mean, I'm not necessarily, the cat's meow, but
dude,
he's got like a weird vibe coming off of him.
Dude, he had a video once out. I think he was throwing axes or an axe or spear or something. He had freaking headphones on. Or not headphones. He had ear protection on. Like, you're that much of a freaking loser, dude.
I'm sure he was maybe he was doing a whole different weapon. I don't know. That makes sense to me if he's throwing a spear or axe to have.
I watched,
unless
Ricky,
he was just listening to music.
Ricky Gervais?
I know Ricky Gervais.
Gervais, whatever.
Gervais. I don't know. Is that his evil
Excuse
twin?
Excuse me. Ricky Gervais. Sorry.
We're both probably pronouncing it wrong. I'm all
acai. Put that in the thing. Ricky Gervais. So, I watched a comedy thing he did last night, and because ever since the Golden Globes, that dude is, like, in my mind, top number one, funniest, brass kahunas, like, because he say, and the funny thing is, me and Andrew are kind of talking, like, oh yeah, he's the one that had, like, all the comedy stuff, and he talked about this, and she's like, well, he talked about Caitlyn Jenner. I'm like, oh, that's nothing. He, like, stood there and spoke the truth. It wasn't even a comedy show. He was talking about how they're all a bunch of pedos and Jeffrey Epstein and stuff, and how he won't be invited back, so he doesn't give a crap. And the reality is, he doesn't give a crap. So he's talking about, like, wokeness, and so he's funny because he's, like, talking about racism, right? And, like, percentages of blacks and whites and blah, 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 blah. So he's like, you know what? That's bullshit, because I'm the one I am discriminated more than anyone, because I am in the less than 1% because I'm, like, wealthy as hell or something like that. And, like, he's so freaking funny, dude. Like, he doesn't care.
I find... So I thought he was good at the Golden Globes because it was so off-putting and, like, holy cow, I can't believe he's calling them out. Even Tom Hanks and everybody around, when they zoomed in, they were all uncomfortable at his commentary, jokes, whatever you want to call it. But he he said, like, here's my thing. So I'm not going. I don't like to insult people, right? Like I get it. Like you might not be the brightest, sharpest tool in the shed, but me pointing it out to you is not going to do any. It's not going to make me feel better. It's not going to make you feel better. It's not going to win the argument if there's an argument, right? It's just like let's fight,
Right.
almost like fighting words. And so one of his routines, I don't know, he was pretty brutal on Christians. I mean, pretty much all religions or whatever. And so it wasn't like he was being funny about it. He was insulting people for their beliefs, which that to me is like, I guess there's a place for that kind of humor, but like, I don't know. It just was like,
Yeah, this is only.
you know what I mean? Like, it's different to like make fun of,
Right.
but like he was like, it's like saying, well, you're a dumbass for believing that. Well, you're not going to change my mind or you're not going to make me laugh or anything else because now I'm sitting there thinking like, well, why am I a dumbass?
Right.
Like, you know, because you made it personal now. And so some of his stuff was kind of personal. Like and he even comments about it. Like he even says, "Oh, you knew what you were getting when you came in here." You know, like he knows that
he knows he goes
like,
too far,
pushback.
but he's still yeah.
But to me, that's like the thing is like, if you want to disagree with me and debate and argue, and you want to make fun of me for my beliefs or whatever, like make fun of me, but don't. And like once you go to insults, now it's kind of like, well, we just need to fight.
Right. Like you can joke about it, but don't.
You know what I'm saying? Like to me, there's a difference between like, you know, him and George Carlin.
Yeah.
Right. Like I like George Carlin, and I like some of Ricky Gervais stuff, but some of it he's kind of pompous and like insulting when I don't think he really.
It's 'cause he's
I think
English.
he's smarter than that. My opinion,
Yeah.
but maybe he doesn't care because he doesn't believe in God, and so he lets everybody know and doesn't care that we all.
I looked up.
The majority of people do.
He's worth $160 million. I was like, holy shit. He's 61 though. I didn't know he was that old.
Yeah. Well, dude, time has been flying by pretty quick.
It's true. I watched this other guy, Brett something. He takes his shirt off every time he does comedy.
Kershinger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's
I know
funny.
the guy. I don't think I've
I've seen
watched him because he takes his shirt off, and I'm like, that's a shit.
I don't know. It must be some. I don't know, but he's funny. You know, the funny part about him too is I like that he oftentimes before he can get the joke out, he's like laughing about it. Like me personally find that funny.
Do you find Jimmy Fallon entertaining?
No, I don't like Jimmy Fallon. I don't like his delivery. I don't. He just.
He plays like the dumb guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I've never really
it's a
liked Jimmy
shtick
Fallon.
that wore off on me when he was still on Saturday Night Live, laughing at every skit that he was in.
Yeah.
You would think if you were a comedian, that would kind of, and you wrote those skits that he's laughing at. Like, it's cool that you think it's that funny, but
I think Jimmy puts it in on purpose because he thinks that's funny.
I think he does.
I think Brett does it because he's having a hard time saying the joke kind of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't do it all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
He only does it once in a while. But he had some really funny stuff. But he seen like those comedians write their own stuff and they talk about things in their life, kind of like Ron White and Jeff Foxworthy and those guys. But then some of these guys, someone writes like Fallon and all those the top guys on late night shows, or like they don't write their own jokes.
So in my prior career, one of my jobs was morale and welfare. So I was like the morale officer. And so this is 2004. We had a bunch of comedians that would come. And then my job would be to organize where they go, different units, whether they leave the base or not, all kinds of different things. Anyway, so I got to hang out with quite a few comedians. And it's fun to hang out with them because they're constantly riffing and like coming up with new material. Like sitting at the lunchroom with them, and like all of them, and like I have like the posters, like for the there was somebody else besides the USO that would do shows over there. So USO is one of them. Then there's another charity. God, it was just so entertaining to sit there and like watch real comedians work. Like and like because they're perfecting their craft, but they're making each other laugh and they're getting feedback from everybody around them. Like
funny.
It's
like,
nonstop. And like I don't know. It would. Like, I always used to think that I was funny back in the day. Maybe I was, but I don't know. It was just fun. Like I like being around comedians like that or just people that were genuinely having a good time. So they were making the best of a pretty bad situation.
Yeah,
and having all of us roll was even better.
That's got to be one of the hardest things to go overseas and you're a comedian and now, like, you know, it's
People
kind of
are
like
trying to blow you up.
yeah, it's like kind of like, hey guys, so today we're going to send you to hell and you're going to entertain, you know.
Oh, you'd be surprised. So, like, there was one group that was supposed to come to us, and the general officer. So you always have a backup plan, right? So the primary route was one way, and then the backup route was another way. Well, the general said, "Nah, you're not doing anything with it. Like, you cancel that stuff, right?" So then I called up 80 Seconds Morale Welfare Group, you know, which it's all part of the personnel HR shop. So I called their HR shop. They cussed me out up and down, sideways, told me I don't know how to plan. I'm always supposed to have a backup. And, you know, you can't really argue it because the guy outranked me. And I'm like, my general said no. So, like, you can keep telling me because now they have them for an extra 2 days that now they have to figure it out because we totally didn't accept them. So it was pretty stressful. So on one hand, you're like, oh, it's awesome. I'm going to sit around with some comedians for the next 12 hours. But then when it falls through, it's stressful over there because it was too dangerous for either way for them to travel. From my general's perspective, the 82nd obviously thought that, no, you need to get them out of here so that we can, you know, because it keeps them from doing their work also because now they have 6 to 9 people they got to coordinate for meals and lodging and safety protection. It was interesting. Good time.
Yeah.
Morale welfare officer. Started a softball league over there. Put on the 50 Cent concert. Like, I didn't obviously put it on, but I mean, I put it on. Like, I was the officer in charge. Did a lot of cool things.
No, that's cool. That's
Met 50 Cent and G Unit. And one of the guys from G Unit was really good with his time. I wish I could remember which one.
how was 50 Cent? A real person or kind of just
He was standoffish. Like, he had a bodyguard that was the size of a doorway with like a knife wound with like a dead eye. I mean, the dude was scary. I mean, it wasn't that scary because I had a M16 and a 9mm on me, but you
had
know,
a whole platoon. You just
but like he took up the entire doorway of like the little. So we put up like little backstage areas.
Yeah.
We had meals catered for him. We did all kinds of nice stuff for him.
one thing I did like about him is
And you can watch it on BET. Like, I don't think you'll see me or anything, but the concert, BET, I think, took footage that one of them had. Or
nowadays all these people that are, you know, rappers and
was
you
it
know,
Lloyd Banks? Lloyd Banks might have been the one. Was he the one that stabbed somebody? I think it was the one G-Unit guy that did not allegedly stab somebody at a music award.
I don't know. It was 50 Cent was shot, what, 9 times?
I don't know. But anyway, it was cool to see, like, a real, like, not 50 Cent and not the other guy, but one of the side members, either Lloyd Banks or whatever the other guy's name is, like, spent hours, like, hanging out and talking with soldiers. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's
And he, like, Robin Williams was good like that.
Robin Williams was.
I did not host Robin Williams. I had transferred it off to my buddy Stinky. So Stinky put the Robin Williams Diamond Dallas Page extravaganza on.
That was
Diamond Dallas Page is a really good dude.
Yeah, I've heard certain things.
Like, he was,
Just yoga,
like,
it's
you know what I mean?
interesting.
Like, so the cheerleaders come there and they're all,
Yeah, sex appeal.
but they're like, oh, nice to meet you, and, you know,
Yeah.
talk to you. And I'm like, no, I met you already 3 hours ago. I'm responsible for you. Stop talking to me. Let's go. You know, like, but they're like, you know, they're all stuck in their
Right.
Miss Personality, congeniality thing. But yeah.
Yeah, Robin Williams would probably be the number one favorite.
Yeah. Stinky,
comic
like,
total.
I wish so Stinky got to do all that, so he got to really hang out with them. But I talked to Diamond Dallas Page at, like, a table. He was sitting there waiting for, like, the autograph line to open up, and he was just kind of down to earth.
It's crazy. Like, the best comics are now dead. Like, Chris Farley would be my number 2 funniest of all time. Like, just
Really?
yeah, I love Chris Farley. I love his humor. Robin Williams definitely number 1. Like, he could do anything.
And he was like a classically trained
Hilarious.
actor.
Hmm?
Like, he went to Juilliard for acting, not to be a comedian.
Mad skills. Like, yeah.
Random
So let's-
factoid of the day.
Let's talk about mad skills. Steve's famous bread.
It's not famous yet.
So I show up and Steve, I text you because we were supposed to do the show earlier than we are. And, before I forget, so today's Andrew's birthday. Happy birthday to my beautiful wife. So I text you because I was said originally like, oh, I'll be here at 7:30 because I was supposed to bring Olivia to school early. Well, she ended up doing it, and I'm like, okay, because I was up to like 11:30. I'm like, I'll sleep some more. So I text you. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be like late. Probably be like 9:45 to 10 o'clock. And you're like, all right, well, that's a good time because my bread will be done by then. And you're like, you're making sourdough bread, and I don't like sourdough bread, so I was like, okay, which that's cool, man. You make whatever. You don't have to make because I like it. But so here's the sourdough bread right here. It looks like that old school bread, like the Romans would throw out to the people. Like, but anyways, so Steve's like, hey, try this. And the reason I don't like sourdough bread is A, it smells sour, and it tastes sour, and I don't like it. I've tried it, unlike some things I'll say I don't like, and I haven't tried. But you made this, and you're my buddy, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it. And it didn't taste sour, smell sour. It was good, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It needs to rise a little bit more. So I got some. I think I got to get a kitchen scale because it says I do it by weight.
Yeah, you probably should definitely do it.
But you know what I mean, like that. So I was kind of expecting maybe it wouldn't turn out exactly like a picture perfect loaf on the first try. So,
I thought you had a bread maker. Like my grandparents have a bread maker, my parents have a bread maker, and those are awesome. You dump in the box of ingredients, the water, and if it calls for anything else, I think that's it. And you let it do its work, and it makes beautiful loaves of bread, fresh. Now, downside is they last like 2 days, and that's it, because there's no chemicals in them to keep them fresh on the shelves for weeks. Right. So that is a downside to it. But if you want a really good, more healthy, depending what you want to make, I guess.
I mean, the only ingredients in that is sourdough, which is just water and flour that's been sitting out. I think we got the starter from somebody Nikki works with,
right?
But all I put in there was 2 teaspoons of salt and 4 cups of flour, and one and because again I don't have a weight measure, so 1 7/8 of a cup of water. So like there's hardly any chemicals in there. That'd have been easy if I'd have had like 8 hash marks on the cup, but it had 9. Isn't that weird?
That was weird. I don't have hash marks in any of my cups like that. Well, you probably have like a 2-ounce. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was good, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It'll get better, I think, over time. It's always improving.
Yeah. So
to go with my acai bowl, my barbecue and wing venture.
So you've probably never seen this before. So this is a picture I found on like growing up in Newport or something like that. I don't know. So this is Eagle Block. So this is where Salt Hill is back in, was it 92? I don't know. I'm sorry. I just took the picture because I thought it was cool. Took it as and took it offline. Didn't take the picture back then. Although I was there. So my parents were on the fire department in Croydon, and obviously it got toned to this because it was a huge, huge fire. So as you're going down Route 10 in Croydon and that flat, the long kind of straightaway, like you could just see a massive column of smoke. And basically, from what I remember, was I don't know if it was some guy that lived in. So there was an apartment off the back of it. So it was bigger than it is today. Off the back of it, there was like a wooden building, an apartment or whatever. And from what I understood, the guy was pissed or something. I don't know what it was, but he would like walk down the hall with a can of gas and then like lit it on fire. Yeah, that would be the biggest fire that I know of in Newport in my lifetime. And then prior to that would be the Newport Hotel, which was next to the church and across like the fire station, that what's now a parking lot. That was back in the 50s. That was a big, huge hotel and had a movie theater and everything in it, and that burnt. And the problem with that was the water. Like things weren't like they are today. They couldn't pump the water high enough, like to get it to the top and all that stuff. But I just saw this picture, and actually I remember Newport's Engine 3. They didn't get rid of that until like the early 2000s. I remember this.
That looks kind of like an older engine. When you said in the 90s, I was like, that looks like a 70s.
It's probably a 70s truck that they kept for a while. And then I see the Newport Thrift Shop was in here, which is, I didn't know that. It's interesting, but very thankful they kept that building. They restored it. It's beautiful. The people that own Salt Hill now, they have bought the building a couple of years ago. And so I saw that, and I was like, yeah, let's show that on the show. I like that kind
Newport
of stuff.
history.
Yeah.
I've never.
I love that. I think my dad runs that page, and I love when they share. So I like that stuff. Like, I like history stuff like that, and I love when you can see downtown Newport, like when it was dirt, and it's cool. I just think it's neat. So the other local thing I got to find it. Here we go. So the Newport Middle High School they need volunteers for the Career Exploration Day, which is March 22nd. So we got some time here, but it's going to be 8 to 2, or choose to do a morning from 8 to 11 or an afternoon 11 to 2. And basically it's a presentation for 6th through 10th graders, field and a brief question and answer with students. So if you're a firefighter, you're a police officer, you're a banker, or whatever, if you want to reach out to the school, it says contact Hannah Flack, hflack at seu43.org for more information. So that's cool. That's neat. It's good when people come into school like that and you're a student. You're like, maybe you never thought of liking something, and someone comes in and like telling you about your career, and maybe like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. I want to check that out. So
have you go in there as a middling YouTuber?
Yeah.
Beard Productions.
Yeah. So
you can tell them, hey, you're not going to be selling acai bowls on.
I'm not selling any
TikTok
acai bowls. No, I sell Steve's Famous Bread.
It's not even for sale.
If you'd like to buy a loaf of Steve's bread, contact us. The other thing I saw, we got a couple cool things today on our show. I think it's going to be better that we got a couple of videos. One that relates even to you. But so I saw, someone sent this earlier to me, and then I saw it and I looked for it. But like, What's Up Newport, there was a post that parent was troubled, upset, concerned. Not angry, but like concerned, because second graders are going to be doing this program basically to teach them. It wasn't sex ed per se, but it was basically teaching kids to know that at second grade, like, there's inappropriate thing like touching, and there's a bunch of different things, and so we looked at the letter that the school had sent home. We're talking about this, is just Tim and Steve. We don't know nothing about this as school board members, so we typically don't until someone brings it up. But the reason I even bring it up is because if something's happening in the school and you don't like it, you need to come to a school board meeting and you need to talk during public comment, and you need to mention this. Because oftentimes, unless someone sends it to me or something, like, I know nothing about it. You know, like, no one knows anything. You have to, like, if you're upset about something, yeah, you can go on What's Up Newport and see if other people are upset. And honestly, it was kind of a fairly mixed review. Like, Andrea thinks this is actually good because it could prevent some kids from being sexually assaulted or whatever.
Well, I think it's just this day and age, the way it's written, that they're going to
Yes.
have anatomically correct dolls, which, I don't know. I mean...
Right. And what's that mean nowadays?
Yeah,
Is there
like-
going to be a he doll, she doll, and then a he, she doll?
like,
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then I have a serious issue with it.
right.
So, I don't know. We don't know, right? So, and these are things like we've talked about in the past. Like, and then the second I heard about it, I'm like, oh, we should go sit in on that because I want to know. Because some things sound like, whoa, this is not cool. And then if we went and we're there, we might be like, oh, it's cool. It's good. No worries. But then there are other things that maybe like, what the hell's going on? This shouldn't be happening. Like, so I get it.
Well, you know, as a member of the board, anything I say individually doesn't apply to the
Right.
whole board. Just got to remind everybody of that. But I generally close out, or if I'm talking, put the onus on the parents, right? So it's good that they're talking about it, but like you said, you got to come to the board, or you got to say, hey, can I come in there and sit in on this and see if I want my kid to be taught this? Because you may not agree with the way that they're teaching it, and that's
Right.
your right as a parent in my book.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to be upset with you if you're like, hey, I don't want my kid in there for this. But, you know, I would just ask that you have a conversation and look over the materials with the teacher, which is obviously, since this has been brought up, we're going to ask about it in our own capacity at some point, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's being taught from Turning Point which I know Turning Point does a lot of good things. It used to be Women's Sports Services. It's now Turning Point. I've worked with them back when I worked at NCTV way back 2000, 2001, like in through that time period. But yeah, I still always have that concern.
Because it's your kid and you don't know.
I am that concerned parent. Like,
Yeah.
if you're out there and you're like, I'm pissed, this is being taught in school, I don't want it. Like, I am that parent. Like, I am that parent. I want to know all these things. I mean, I find things and show you all the time, and then, like, I'll ask questions at board meetings, like, what is this? Because I am that concerned parent. But I will say that since being on the board, I will, like, point out to people that one thing I've noticed is there's parents like us, right? And there's parents like this person that is, like, mad or upset and, hey, I got questions, I want to know what's going on here, that cares and is going to cover this stuff with their children without any direction from anyone. But then there's also parents out there that could care less about their kids. They're too busy getting, out on drugs, or they don't care. And that is happening everywhere in the world, in the country, anyways. But it happens, and so at that point, it's like, okay, but if this kid's not going to learn any of this stuff from home, which they should be, because it pisses me off when the school steps on my toes. Like, no, I'm the parent. I will decide when this is appropriate and when it's not. And honestly, it's getting younger and younger, because it used to be like none of this stuff happened until like 8th grade or something.
I want to say I was in like 5th or 6th grade.
It was later, yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
but we were always taught like stranger danger.
Yeah,
Like, you can teach stranger danger without anatomically correct dolls.
right. So
Right? Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing to me that's like, well, why are we got anatomically correct dolls? Like, you're teaching them how to change diapers, how to handle babies,
right,
and
they're second graders. They don't need to know that stuff.
like, you can say you don't touch your front or your back parts. Like, no one has a right to ever touch that.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Without showing a doll. And so I see where this parent is concerned, and hopefully they're doing more than just calling or posting about it. Hopefully they've called up to the Richards and said, "Hey, can I get a copy of this lesson plan? Can I come sit in? Can I have somebody go over this with me before I let my kids sit through it, because I don't know the maturity level of whoever." You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
those are all questions that they're perfectly fine to ask. Don't be afraid to come in there and be like, or call up and say, "Yeah, my kid's going to sit this one out."
The only thing that I guess comes to mind too, and
That's my take. If I didn't want Zeta doing something, she's not going to do it.
part of me says, like, okay, it's good, and like, listen, I'm not for or against this. I'm right in a neutral, because I need to see more. Like, I need to
Right.
see, because I might see something and I might be instantly like, this is BS and should not be in the school, and I'm going to make a point to make sure it doesn't happen again, or try to. Or I might be like, yeah, this is great information, but at the same time, our school's like dead last in the state, and this isn't on any test, so maybe we should focus more on getting out of the bottom. I mean, that's one argument too you could bring up. So it's
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, I mean, it's a dangerous world, and there are bad people out there. And like you said, some parents
this could
don't take the time. Maybe
Right.
they just don't have the time because they're
Right.
working 2 shifts, right? So it's not just all
no
neglectful parenting.
no
Some
no,
of it is it's neglectful because they're making ends meet, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
or single mom, single dad, whatever, works crazy hours and doesn't have the supervision over his children like you like, because he needs to provide for them. Okay, I have no problem with that, but I only have a problem with the ones that would rather get high and don't give a shit about their kids than
right?
taking care of your children. Like, then you shouldn't have had kids. Like, that's simple. And yeah, that's my issue. I mean, just because it doesn't mean you're a bad parent because you have to work all the time to provide for your kid. Like, there's parents that are doing that, but then there's parents that sit on their ass, do nothing, and still have nothing to do with their kids. Like, that's bad parenting. Like,
Yeah, like I'm not against teaching kids stranger danger.
no.
Like
Well, like in school, 5th grade maybe, like they had the DARE program. I remember the police officer coming in and had this like picture frame with the drugs in it, and like so you identify them, and like I still remember that. Like, that's important. So this is kind of a side thing too. Like, the drug thing was important. This is extremely important. Like, stranger danger, that whole like that's as important as drugs. I will put those two side by side because obviously drugs is a huge issue in this country, but children being assaulted or things done to children that shouldn't be happening it's a huge silent thing that doesn't get as much attention. But so my concern, like I said, and if you're the concerned parent, come to the school board. Reach out to the school as well.
Yeah, well, first thing
Get
you
the
should do
information.
is reach out to
the principal at
or
the school.
teacher or both.
Yes. So you got to go to the principal at the school. Step number one, principal of school, have a concern, whatever. If you don't get the answers, you don't get whatever, my next step would go to the superintendent. If you're still not happy, then you go to the school board. Those are the steps. Now, you can't take those steps all in one day. Like, I mean, if they just say, well, tough crap, we're teaching anyways.
I don't think they would do that.
Which they won't. No, they will not. I think we know Donna pretty well. It's not going to be the case at all.
I think all of them would.
They would all, So, but if you have concerns, then you like post on WhatsApp. Like, come to the board meetings. No one ever comes to the board meetings. We've been trying for, 2 years to get people to go to the board meetings?
Yeah,
on the board. Like,
we had 20 some odd show up during the masking fiasco.
Yeah. Oop. That was me that time. So get involved. I know it's 5 o'clock. It's hard to get to a meeting at 5 o'clock sometimes. I get it, but
I'm pretty sure even if you showed up at 5:20, Jenna would probably make a effort to let you have your voice heard.
We can't speak for the board, although we're 2 members. However, I feel pretty confident if you showed up at 5:30 even and was like, hey, I couldn't get here, I need to speak about something, that we would certainly, I know me and you would vote in a heartbeat to let them speak. Yeah. So,
and I feel like the school board wants to hear.
Yeah.
That's my take. Like, I can't speak for the other members.
The board's way different than it was before.
But I do know that, we need to hear it. Say what you have to say, because we may not know something. Donna might not know something. The principal might not know something. But the first step is to try to do it at the lowest level.
Right.
Handle it there, because they should give you the information. They should provide you with the, more whatever information that you want. They should be able to provide it to you if they're going to teach it to second graders.
Yeah.
And they should, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the way things are right now, to where the country is all tied up with things that aren't education related.
No.
I feel like stranger danger should be taught by the parents and guardians when they're old enough to understand that somebody
Except some schools are bringing the stranger danger in your school to read to you.
Right. That's what it appears to be. Like when you see, right, so there's always bad apples everywhere. So even in the military, right, so people are going to get charged with some heinous crimes that you would like to think don't happen. Just like there are situations where people slip through the cracks. Now, I don't think that's the case.
Listen, if you're an adult male and you're dressed up as a woman and you approach my child, you might want to back the F off.
Yeah, I look at that because I can't stand people with covered faces, like
you have
clowns.
But you have no business.
Yeah, you should. Well,
no business.
Yeah, why would they even want to talk to kids?
Exactly.
That's to me is the weird thing. It's
right. Because they want to corrupt their mind as effed up as they are.
I don't know, but I'll keep my mouth shut. I get weirded out. Like a mascot comes up and tries to dance in my face, or someone kabuki makeup up. I can't. You're hiding something and you're not being truthful, and I can't see what's going on in your eyes. I got an issue with you. Like your face, you know what I mean? Like if you're caked up in clown makeup, or that's not who you are. Be yourself.
Yeah.
All right. But then again, you could say our hat is like clown makeup because it's hiding my widow's peak.
Mine just says no one owes you shit. So we have a famous Morse in the news.
Yes,
a famous Morse related to you.
He's been on the news before because the VA pronounced him dead a few years back. So he actually was on Greta Van Sustren's show.
Really?
10 years ago, 8 years ago.
So we'll play the clip here in a minute.
So this is a different cousin. This is not my alligator hunting cousin.
This is a more badass cousin. you'll see him in a second, and it's funny because Steve sent this to me, and just like me and Steve are like best friends, so it's not like I'll say things to get Steve going because that's what I do. But he knows, like, at the end of the day, like, I have his back no matter what, and I would never like purposely hurt your feelings, and if I did, you'd tell me, right? So I was like, he sends it to me, dude. His cousin's got more tats than me, and he looks like a badass. And I asked Steve, like, what the hell happened to you guys? Because him and his brother don't look like badasses. And he said, well, we went with the Army. And I was like, that's true. He was a Marine, so. But anyways, check out this clip. This is Steve's cousin, more famous than we are. So check this out.
Marine is teaching others to be Condition 1 ready.
And the service, that means your weapon is locked and loaded. Ruben Dominguez is live in Spring to show us some of the self-defense skills he's teaching. Good morning to you, Ruben. You getting your moves learned?
Yeah, guys. Absolutely. We've already learned a lot this morning. Yeah, guys, so we're at Condition 1 Combat Center, relatively new business.
Yes.
Out here in Spring, veteran-owned.
Yes, sir.
We've got Joe Morris here with us. All right, so let's talk about, unfortunately, we live in a time where crime is up, and this is a good time for people to know how to defend themselves.
Absolutely, and the worse the worst times get for people, the worse that they may have to learn this kind of stuff.
So it might be good to be ready. Right. All right, and you guys teach mixed martial arts. You teach a bunch of different disciplines here. So let's talk about. We've got Letty over here on the mat here. We're going to go through a couple of scenarios that might happen.
Right.
So take me through it.
Okay, so the first one, what Letty's going to do is there's a big punch going to be coming from Don, and as he punches, boom, Letty gets inside. She's going to start improving her position now. She's going to get a takedown. Now, at that point, she can either break contact or get a takedown, whatever it may be, but she wants to create as much space between her and the attacker as possible at that point.
Okay. All right. Second thing we're going to do. So take us through it. Second thing we're going to do.
Bear hug. Okay, so now she's going to be attacked from behind. Boom, she's going to immediately connect herself to the attacker. She gets a nice wide base, gets her hips out. Now she's going to move to the back. And now again, like before, she can either get a takedown, break contact, or possibly even get to a higher level of force if she has that available to her.
All right, so I think we got one more we're going to run through here, right?
Yeah, so this last one, what he's going to do is he's going to want to control her head. He's going to try to control her head. She tries to control the head. She clears the hand. Now she's going to get an inside trip. And again, now she can make space if she needs to, get to a higher level of force or get to somewhere where she has safety.
Yeah, so obviously, Letty's been working with you guys for a while. She didn't just start yesterday.
No, she hasn't. She's been with us for a few years.
All right, so if people come to you, they come to you and they're asking, look, I just want to get into some basic self-defense. Everybody's different, obviously. Right. What kind of advice do you give, or how are you going to start people down that path?
Well, one of the first things that I need people to do is what we want people to do is get in here at a minimum twice a week, right? We're not going to put any timeline on when, hey, you're going to be great at it at this point. You're going to get out of it what you put into it, right? Fighting isn't easy. Fighting is hard. And in order to defend yourself, you're going to have to learn how to fight. There's no easy way around it. There's no magic pill you can take. You have to learn how to fight. And then that'll give you the confidence to defend yourself when you need to.
All right, they were just doing kind of an interesting one here.
Okay.
He was kind of protecting his hands up in front of his face.
Okay, so what Letty's going to do here is Letty's going to initiate the attack now. She's going to go 1-2. She's going to get inside and tie his arms up. See how she's tying his arms up there? That's
so
tying
he can't
his
strike her.
Exactly. She's tying his weapons up, right? If she ties his weapons up, he can't use them against her.
And at the same time, even, takedown or whatever, as long as she gets behind him like that, she can run away.
Right. As long as she gets to a position where she can strike him and he can't strike her, she has his arms tied up or his weapons are in front, she can break contact at that point and possibly get away, or maybe even potentially go to a higher level of force if she has it available.
All right. So, guys, what we're going to do coming up in the next hour, we're going to talk about some other things that, might help you make a decision that, hey, this is right for me. I want to check it out. I want to come out here and start some training and, get myself in a position where I might not be a victim.
Right, exactly.
All right, guys. All right, so it's Condition 1 Combat Center out here. We're on Rayford Road, guys. Coming up, we've got more for you in the next hour. Right now, we're live. Ruben Dominguez, Fox 26 News.
That is a badass Morris right there.
Hey, he's been doing Krav Maga for quite a while now.
That's cool.
Yeah, if I lived closer, or if Zeta would have spent one more summer with my mom and dad, I would have had her go into his
the cool thing is,
or whatever it's called.
So some people, if they're like, well, how does this relate? Granted, our show is about anything and everything, but to Newport, we actually do have a mixed martial art studio in Newport now. And these people are from Texas. And if you see them, if you have Facebook, especially, and like they're constantly posting stuff, and they've got lots of classes and different things, and I encourage anyone to take a self-defense class, especially women, but like,
well, it's
cool,
good
man.
to see that was so to see a smaller woman throwing that bigger guy around, that gives you hope, right? Because size has its advantage unless you can use physics and
Yes.
and size against the person who's overconfident.
So there was my mom took a self-defense class like years ago with Richard Lee, who was a police officer in Newport and then chief of Croydon for quite a while. And so he'd teach a class, and his wife Sherry would come in, and no one in the class like knew any of this. And so she comes into class, he walks up to her, grabs her breast, she hits him, and I don't even know where, and drops him, lights out, like knocked him out. And it's for the class, right? And I was like, that's badass right there. Like,
That's awesome.
So I remember my mom, like years back, taking a self-defense class because it's important. There are a lot of weird, bad people out there.
Well, I mean, we were talking to my mom right before the show, and she said that they pulled somebody over with terrorists in the back of the trunk.
Yeah. Got across the border, some Iranian terrorists.
Crazy. But you know what I mean? If we're like, because you never know.
No.
You never know.
No, you don't. Like, I mean, we're just letting millions of illegals run across the
And,
border.
it's interesting because Fox 26 ran that in Houston probably because, number one, everything's an advertisement, right? So
To protect themselves.
But there's a lot of crime escalating in the cities because you got a lot of illegal aliens coming in and putting stress and pressures on the community itself. So it's not just them committing the crimes, but you're putting that pressure and stress on everybody's tempers and traffic.
Look at New York City. They're like about to declare, I don't even know, like, oh my God, we need billions of dollars because, you guys sent a couple bus loads up here or whatever. I'm like, do you realize there's been like 3 million?
Coming into Texas.
3 million.
Like people should watch and see what happens to these farmers as their houses are getting raided every night by illegals coming over and just taking what they want. And
Dude, if I had a farm in Texas, then I'd probably be in jail, but whatever. I would plant landmines.
you'd have to.
Boom! Got one.
No, you don't want to do that, but you want to protect your property. Yeah.
Listen, they're criminals. They're breaking the
They
law.
are breaking the
Now,
law.
I'm not saying that, Tim thinks they should die. No, I'm not. You're going to protect your property.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'll protect this property. I can't protect it like a Texan, but
No.
protect it like a New Hampshire, right?
It's not okay. Like, you
Yeah.
pay taxes. You get freaking robbed out
We
of
pay
your money
taxes
as it
on
is.
taxes on taxes.
Right. And what's that for? It's for protection.
For
it's
everybody
for
but
all-
you.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the bullshit thing that needs to stop, and that's what pisses me off. That's what pisses
Well, I
anyone
think that's
off to
what
watch
most
the
of the
show.
country's upset about.
Yes.
Like deep down, it's all about like our resources aren't being spent on us. We're a proxy for everybody else.
We're 3 trillion in debt. We're gonna have to up the debt limit again because there's no limit. Let's face it; these
They
idiots
just
will
keep
just
printing
keep
money,
freaking
which
doing
makes
it.
our dollar worth
They're
even
trying
less.
to go to digital currency.
So we're paying more taxes, and we're getting less of a $1 worth. Well, what a nickel like back in the day now.
Now it's like I saw this meme. It was like, yeah, back when I was a kid, $20 felt like $100. Today,
No, I know,
$20
like-
is like $1.
My mom used to give me a $20 bill, and it would like last me all Saturday and part of Sunday.
Yeah, it'd get you drink bag of chips and a pack of bubble gum now.
Barely. It's ridiculous.
It'd get you one acai bowl.
Get you more than one if you go to Shaw's and buy all the ingredients with the frozen food.
So yesterday, So yesterday I had my massage. I go weekly get a massage because
You're pampered.
yes, I don't get my nails done or anything, but no, because it helps my body work and move without massive amounts of pain and whatever. And so earlier I was supposed to have a game at 4 at Mount Royal, and Andrea texted me. Oh, when I got out, at 4:30 because I was like I was going to miss it or part of it anyways. And she's like, yeah, there was some screw up and it was actually supposed to be at 5 o'clock. So it was at 5. I was like, oh, cool. So I went and I got there, just as the game was just before it started. It was perfect time. I said, great. So watching her play, she's playing middle school. She plays JV too, here and there, which honestly she probably should have just stuck with JV because even though she's in 8th grade, like when her, Paige, and Haley go up, it does really make a big difference with that team. And the coaching, I think, at that level is better. I mean, so her coach, I like her coach as a person. He works at the school. We hired him recently. And I think he probably knows basketball better than anyone in this town. But the coaching aspect, I feel like there's I'm frustrated as a parent watching my kids because it's like, dude, get off the bench and yell at these freaking kids and coach them. Like, I get so pissed because they'll do the same thing, like throw the ball and we're going to throw it in to like half court and then the other team intercepts the ball or steals it, and I'm watching this and I'm like, what?
That's what you need me there yelling because whenever they try to do the old full court press and if Stephen Dubs is in the audience, I'm going to tell the girls, I don't care which coach is out there, I'm going to tell them because all you got to do is quick short passes, stay in the middle, don't throw long passes on a full court press.
Lydia
or
likes
a half court press.
Lydia likes,
and don't pick up your dribble. Never stop dribbling.
Right. So Lydia likes the JV coach because he's hard on them.
No Gare Bear.
Yep. I don't think our older girls cared for him as much as she cares for him, but I think
Zeta likes Gary.
She liked him. I mean, I think Lisa liked him, but I don't know. There was things she quit her senior year though because she was like.
But that wasn't Gary coaching.
No, that was Ross. And that was I totally agreed with her at that point on that. I was like, no, I get it, but so I'm supposed to coach softball, supposedly. I've been told this for a while, and I actually was going to coach soccer, which I don't know much about soccer, but I can learn it but I can coach. Like I know that's the important part, right? You have to learn the game. You have to know the game, right? I mean, if you know nothing at all, it's going to be an issue.
For middle school?
Yeah. But if you can coach, you can coach. If you coach one thing, you can coach anything if you have the coaching basics and stuff. Now, am I going to go out there on the basketball court and show you how awesome a basketball player? No, I suck at basketball, but I know how stealing a ball, standing up, arm straight, I know those things that PJ Lovely taught me when I was a kid at the rec center, right?
Don't leave your feet, hands straight
up. No stupid fouls. Like if they get by you and you run down and you're going to foul them, you might as well let them have the basket. You know?
Well, if you're going to foul them, you got to make sure they don't get the shot off, and you got to make sure it's not a technical in this pansy day.
They don't.
Age.
They just.
I just won't forget. I was at a game when were the girls freshmen or sophomores, but they were all about trying to make. It was it was so weird. I felt like I was in a millennial time loop because somebody grabbed the microphone and talked about sportsmanship and being quiet while people were shooting free throws. What kind of – this was a Newport official, somebody in the school district. I don't know who it was. I mean, I have my suspicion. I think I remember kind of, but I just remember thinking to myself, no, you need to have the crowd rattling their feet. You need to have balloons going behind them. You need to throw them off. And so, it would get quiet, and then I would yell out right before they shot, make sure you block out, because,
That's the advantage of home field advantage,
exactly.
right?
I couldn't believe that this gentleman got up there and said, don't, try to, and you need to be I don't know. Just to me, that was a symptom of what's wrong with this society. There's winners and losers. We want our town to win. We don't want to be jerks or anything else.
You want sportsmanship.
Right. But, if I'm yelling, miss it, that's not, that's the game. Right. You go to a college game or anything else, and people are going to be doing a lot worse than yelling, miss it.
Yeah. No, when I get, Lydia yesterday, shot a free throw.
Do you remember that? Were you at that game?
No, you have to tell me after. Yeah, I don't remember. But Lydia shot, she had, got fouled and shot a free throw and, missed it and, put her hands in her face. And I told her at the end of the game, don't do that. That irritates me. Now, if you shoot it, it's the end of the game, and if you make the shot, your team's gonna win, and blah blah blah, and you miss it. Okay, you should be okay. You can be upset, but you missed a free throw. Who cares? The other girl missed it too.
I care. You should never miss a free throw. It's free points. It's in the name.
Yeah, but I don't want her to show like
no. Yeah, she shouldn't be showing that, because if I were on the other team,
yes.
I would dig into her about how horrible of a free throw shooter she is. She can't, because again, there should be a lot of trash talk going on.
I think there's a lot of stuff happening we don't know about on the court.
Yeah, there should be. But like, I never will forget that. Like, I grabbed the mic before the game started, so nothing had even. And this was like before he did it before the JV and the varsity. He did it before both games because I stayed.
So
it just bothered me.
One thing I tell
you need to get up in people's faces. You need to be loud. You need to be rowdy.
There's a couple things that happen that irritate me. One is
you don't want to be hurtful, but you want to be mean.
If you knock a girl down or whatever, because watch it. Like, you think like, oh no, freaking girls on the floor all the time.
Girls' sports are
they're more brutal. Aggressive than boys. Yeah. Like
the guys understand that a pick is coming, and so they'll try to roll off of it.
Exactly.
Whereas girls,
they'll just run through you, whatever.
Through it, or they'll shoulder you, whereas guys kind of have a more, at least in my experience when I played.
I always tell her, like,
my daughter play.
You knock somebody over or whatever, you better be like putting your hand out and helping them up, because at the end of the day, this is a game, and like
it was good sportsmanship.
But one girl come up after the game, not yesterday, a few weeks ago, whatever. And said to the lady's like, oh, did you see that? I pulled that girl's hair. And Andrea freaking flipped. She's like, you think that's funny? Like, because that's not part of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not. Now, I know, like.
There's been a couple times where Zeta Potato got a visit from mom and dad, even in high school. So once when she was younger on the
Zeta's so aggressive.
Zeta gets that chicken wing out about 7 feet too early, and it's like, oh, man, she's going for that girl because she let her get underneath her skin or whatever.
Peggy used to be good for that in soccer. And of course, Peggy has no, like, pizzazz with it. It just looked like you realize you didn't, like, accidentally retaliate, which we expect you to do, and I think you should. But you made it look pretty damn obvious. It's because, man, we would talk before, like, especially soccer. I miss the girls playing soccer because I really enjoyed the high school girl. And I, like, this year when I'm not building a house, and I want to be more involved with the sports stuff because I really enjoy it. But those girls in high school, holy crap! And the stuff they say to each other, like, obviously we can't hear it because it's too far away. But at least you come home and be like, "This girl was this, and she was a bitch," and blah blah. And I'm like, I didn't see any of that. Like, she's telling me this, and I'm like, what? Like, wow.
Yeah, I think as they got older, they all kind of got to know each other. But now there were a couple of schools that were like they didn't play with class or grace.
Remember that playoff game we went down?
Oh yeah, well, that's the first time you met Rob, right? We thought we were going to get in a fight on the sidelines.
It was in East Bumfuck, Lower New Hampshire. Like, you have to go through all these things to get there. You walk up the hill, and we were on the sideline, and like some boys were there from that school, and like
just
saying
insulting,
like bad like,
stuff.
Like I'm fine with, like, okay, you're gonna like talk trash and that's whatever.
Like, oh
no,
like if you slip
this
and fall.
was like
it was personal.
I wanted to get up and punch the kid in the face. It just was like way above and the refs
there was the other dad there.
There
was the other dad there that was from Texas that his daughter ended up playing at Fall
Yes, we got screwed
there. They're like, they were like the four of us were about to like take on the whole crowd.
Yeah, that sucked. We knew that too. She played 8th grade here. But she played for varsity.
Right. Oh man,
and he's like
good.
Talking about, well, she has options next year, and she's probably gonna Fall Mountain. And I get it, but I was like, no, like
because she was good.
Yes,
not just at soccer.
So young and we
can't remember her name.
I don't remember.
I see her dad all over town though.
Yeah, tall guy, skinny, cowboy hat,
truck.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
total Texan.
Yeah, it's. Man, I hate when that happens too. It's like, because you just 8th grade, like there's freaking four more years, and like
domination.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason I bring up this topic, I think this is hilarious. If it happened to my students, or child, or town, or whatever, I'd be kind of thinking different. I'd be upset about it, kind of, but at the same time, I'd be laughing my ass off.
I wouldn't let my daughter
So
not play anymore.
Portsmouth, Virginia. A lot of shit that happens in Virginia. You know?
Yeah, I was thinking, like, when you were showing me, I was
When I
like,
played it, I was like-
Virginia is not doing well in the last couple of years.
So, a 22-year-old coach has been fired from the school because she put on a jersey and played in the JV game with 13-year-olds. Which,
But see, that's kind of odd. How are you having 13-year-olds at JV?
I find that odd because Lydia's 14. She's young for her. She's
Old.
Old for, all right, so 13 is going to be an 8th grader
Right.
all day long. So JV is typically going to be 14, 15-year-olds, 9th, 10th graders. Some 13-year-olds.
Some 16.
Or-
They turn 16.
Right. But anyways, all right, we have a video. The second part is the video doesn't interview the lady or show her a good picture of her, but watch this video of a 20-year-old coach playing with a JV girl.
Portsmouth basketball coach left a little too much of her mark on the game, and now she's out of a job.
Alex Littlehills joins us in the studio with details on this bizarre story of a high school basketball game that's raising a lot of questions. A lot of chatter about this one, Alex.
Yeah, certainly, Nicole. David, we learned today, actually, that the head coach of the junior varsity girls basketball team at Churchland High School no longer works for the division. It all stems from the actions of a different coach earlier this month.
You know, when our coaches don't do what they're supposed to do, they fail kids. And that's disappointing.
It's not exactly normal to see a junior varsity girls basketball game getting national attention. But a lot of people are talking about one particular matchup between Churchland and Nansemond high schools. This month, the Churchland Truckers and Nansemond River Warriors faced off in a Saturday matchup. It looks like everything you'd normally see at a high school basketball game, except for one of these 10 players on the court isn't like the other. Portsmouth school officials confirm a member of the team's coaching staff, Arlisha Boykins, played in this game as if she were one of Churchland's student athletes. School officials found out and reported the coach's play to the Virginia High School League, which oversees all high school athletics in Virginia.
We were informed right up front. The one word that I would tell you when we heard in our office would be the biggest thing that we heard that we felt disappointment.
The VHSL's executive director, Dr. Billy Hahn, called this oversight a failure. Players from both junior varsity and varsity girls basketball teams decided they do not want to continue playing the rest of the season. Boykins is no longer employed by Portsmouth Public Schools as of last week.
Yeah, so I've often thought of that, like we're at a football game and I'm like, dude, give me your pads and stuff. Of course, listen, I can't go running back and forth on the field. Like, I got to stand here and do something. But,
yeah, you're part of the chain gang, baby. We got to keep you over there.
I like the chain gang.
Keep the chains working.
Dude, that's the best job there is. Like, you're on the field. Guys will come at you, and they're like, oh, jump out of the way. And I'm kind of like standing there like, because I didn't play football as a kid. My parents wouldn't let me. It was too dangerous. So I'm going to live like I'm playing football, Although Kyle Ashley threw a pass this last year, and I caught it because it was to the sideline, and that hurt, dude. That ball's hard. I think so. I caught it, though. And then I kind of run up the sideline a little bit.
Yeah,
It was kind of funny. Yeah.
Had to make it about you. I like
did.
Anytime you
Absolutely,
make something
man.
about yourself, I'm like, I'm jealous.
So, 22-year-old coach jumps in and.
Well, there's like a difference. There was, because we watched one video where it said she was 22 and one said that it's 23. So
yeah,
she's older. She's 10 years
an
older.
employee of the school.
The coach decided to suit up and go out and get some at the JV game, I guess is the bottom line. And she dominated.
Well, yeah, she looks like she was fairly tall.
Well, she had the older coordination going, like on that.
Well, yeah, because she should be playing college basketball and not JV in school.
She's trying out for the WNBA.
That'd be like us going to Dartmouth. Be like, hey, need a couple of your girls for the weekend. We need them to play a game Saturday. What are they playing? JV basketball.
Does Dartmouth have basketball? Do they even play sports at that college?
Their football team is fairly well known. Not like they're super good, but just
in the Ivy League.
They're better than you think they would be. I think.
Like I just don't think of Dartmouth as a place to play sports. Like I've walked around the town, and they look nerdy.
Yeah, I mean,
like you know what I mean? Not like nerdy, but like they look like they're highly intelligent and they're there to get an education with maybe some social justice tones.
Yeah. Apparently, no. They play football and stuff, and hockey. I know they have girls and boys hockey. That's a pretty big sport for them. I love hockey.
Zeta loves hockey.
Hockey's like.
I think she went to a hockey game last week.
Hockey is like that's like football at 30 miles per hour. But you have to not only be good dribbling a puck and all shooting and all that, you have to ice skate.
And you have to be able to fight.
Yeah, on skates.
And if you're going up against Chara,
yeah, 7-3 with skates or something like that. Like,
what a jerk! That guy's like a beast. Well, he doesn't play for Boston anymore.
No, he retired too. Well, he re-signed with the Bruins for one day to retire as a Bruin, which is pretty cool. I guess we're talking sports.
I mean, he's garbage though in the Morris household because we're a Sabres family, even though we don't watch hockey anymore because of its wokeness. But
I don't know. There was that one hockey player that refused to wear a Pride jersey.
Was that a hockey?
Mm-hmm.
I thought. Oh yeah, the Flyer, the Philadelphia Flyer.
Said, I am here to play hockey, not to stand for your BS, whatever. Good for him.
Yeah, it takes more people like that.
Yes, we're here to play a sport. You pay us for that, not to stand for any other thing.
Not to propagandize.
Exactly.
And act like I care about this.
If he wants to care about that and do stuff, he does it outside of the hockey rink, right? On his own.
Yeah. Well, you got to go back. I have to go back to what I said before about if the coach or if the owner says, hey, we're going to be on the field for the national anthem and stand, then you're on the national anthem and stand. But then again, if they're also allowed and they don't get fired for kneeling, then this guy has the right to be like, no, I'm not participating in your buffoonery.
Yeah.
Good for him.
No, you should stand your ground. Like,
I don't,
It's become the point where
people just need to stand up for themselves. That's what I mean when I say good for him. Like,
yeah, because nobody will anymore. Yeah. Nobody wants to say nothing.
Afraid of
I noticed that with
or getting arrested or losing their livelihood. Like, you got to be afraid. You can't be afraid. Like,
I've noticed with the younger kids, especially Lydia's age, like 14, middle school. Not as much with Emilio in 10th grade, but still there. But kids today can't apologize. They can't be wrong about nothing. It has to be, oh, no, I wasn't wrong. That is a freaking problem. Dude, you have to accept that, I was wrong. It sucks, man. It sucks to be like, shit.
I messed up.
I'm sorry. I screwed up. I did this, that, whatever. Like, that sucks. And that's not easy to do. But you have to. If not, you're just a freaking asshole and no one's going to like, and no one wants to be around because here you are and like, oh, yeah, I messed up the whatever job that we were doing today, and I'm going to blame it on someone else. And I'm going to be like, hey, sometimes you just got to say it. I messed up. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm an expert at blame throwing, but I can take responsibility for my actions.
Yeah. You have to be like, you have to just suck it up and be like, yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong bullying you, picking on you, and I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. But they can't do that. No, that's not. No, I shouldn't have to because it's not my fault because, my parents didn't come home last night or I didn't eat breakfast this morning, so I'm going to pick on you and so I'm a victim too. No, you're not. Not everyone's a fucking victim.
Yeah.
You're not a victim. You're a victim if you let yourself be a victim.
Go and stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
That's like your biggest thing, by the way, that you always talk about is people just need to stand up for themselves.
Right. I have a hard time doing it. Like, I am not a confrontational person. It takes a lot to piss me off. When you piss me off, then a little switch flips, and then very, very bad Tim comes out, and it's hard. Like, I have a hard time with it. I try to control it better than, like, Andrea's perfect. Like, you piss Andrea off, she'll tell you, and she doesn't feel inside, like me inside, like, if I'm like, Steve, like, you really, like, pissed me off earlier. And, like, I'd have a hard time being, like, because I'm like, well, I don't want to upset him, right?
Sometimes I can tell, though, if I've annoyed you or whatever, you know what I mean?
But,
like, I can read you pretty good. Like,
right.
Tim's not finding this funny.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, People need to speak up.
More chemicals.
Yeah, good chemicals too. People need to speak up and be like, "Hey, I didn't like that," or "I don't appreciate this," or whatever.
So people need to speak up, and then people also need to be able to receive it and realize that you do mess up, and you might have said something that really hurt their feelings, and you didn't mean to or whatever, but you said it. This is how they feel. Have a conversation about it. They don't have to accept your apology, right? Like, so you can apologize, and they can be like, "Thank you," and they may need like a month or 7 or 10 hours to process it and be like, "All right, I forgive you now." So that's the other thing, is you got to be patient with people and realize that when you do mess up really bad, that they're not just going to immediately be like, "All right, I forgive you."
Right.
Now maybe like a second grader will, right? Because they're moving quickly through life, and that's not that important. But as you get older, people got to process things, and so you can't expect immediate gratification from your apology or anything. You know what I mean? Like you have to let things absorb and figure it out for yourself. But you got to be able to own up to your mistakes, and you got to be able to see and appreciate when someone tries to own up to their mistake to you. Try to be forgiving if it's something that's forgivable. Yeah. Because some things may not be. But you know what I mean? Like saying something out of turn or being harsh because you're having a bad day, and you just you're taking out your anger on someone's glasses, right? Like you're like, 4 eyes, whatever. Like, they don't really. You don't have 4 eyes, so
no.
You know what I mean? Like,
don't take things so personal, but and at the same time, like, you always hear from people like, "Forgive and forget." Bullshit. Forgive. I ain't ever forgetting. I mean, minor things, like let it go, dude. Called you 4 eyes. Suck it up. Who cares?
Well, it does say in the Bible that you got to be able to forgive for you to be forgiven.
Yeah.
I always try to keep that in the back of my mind because it's hard to forgive sometimes.
So, like, just before you're about to die, be like, "I forgive everybody."
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Like,
I don't know if that'll work, though. Will that work?
I don't know.
Jesus might be like, it's technically, I guess you did, but I don't know. But that's.
But this is like.
But when you think about that, though, right? Like, there's some maturity that it takes. Like, you got to be able to forgive others, because if you can't forgive someone, then how can you expect anybody to forgive you when you mess up? Like, that's, I think, the point of the whole
probably the biggest struggle.
Bible scripture, right? Like, if you can't forgive someone for being a jerk to you or whatever, how are you going to expect anybody to ever forgive you?
Right.
Like, do unto others, basically, right? It all comes down to that.
Yeah, the hardest thing to do is, at any age, don't matter, adult, at any age, is oftentimes forgiving yourself for something. Like, I still relive things in my mind.
I do too. And
torture myself with it.
I do too. You got to be able to forgive yourself.
It's hard. Yeah, and I have not mastered that skill, so don't call me.
Because I'm like, I'll remember some stupid thing I said to somebody like 30 years ago, and I'm like, man, hopefully they don't remember that, but if they do, I feel like such an asshole.
And I'm sure they don't, because it's big in your head. Like, but to them, like,
I hope, man. You know what I mean? Because I could be a jerk whenever I get, like, in my younger days.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more. I think I'm a lot more patient now. But
I mean, me and Andrew were talking about this the other day, and it's like, and it comes up a lot at school with me and stuff. Is like counseling, counselors, and all this. And Andrew said it, and I was like, it's so true. Like, we're not a freaking counseling center. We're a school.
Well, that's why I pointed out a lot of times when we're approving those expenditures, the larger ones are for behavioral health services.
Right. So if
anybody's wanting to cut sports, we should.
Listen, so
private citizens should look into.
We always talk about the responsibility of the parents, right? We argue that the responsibility to teach these sex ed things, or this, like we talked about earlier, is on the parents. Like, we would be like, well, no, that's our job. We'll handle it, right? Excuse me. However, flip side, the same parents that out there, like, oh yeah, they want you to teach all these things, and they want you to provide mental health therapy, whatever. It's not the school's freaking job. This is a public school.
Yeah, the school's job is to prepare
teach
you,
school.
To teach you so that you have you can be a functioning member of society.
We're not a mental health facility.
They've taken that and they've turned it into a functioning member. Well, then you need some counseling probably.
Right.
Like, no. I need to be able to read, write, sign my name,
Half the time
figure out
it's
how to pay as little taxes as possible.
half the time it's like, oh, so and so needs counseling, and that's his excuse of why I can't learn and whatever. No, bullshit. That's not. You're not counselors. You're teachers. Yeah. Teach. And yeah, I get it. And I'm sure there's some kids in the school that are like, whoa, like, okay, then I guess you'll have to address that one student if that student's wrecking the education for the other people. But you're there to teach. You're not their counselor. Mentor? Sure, absolutely. You should always be a positive role model in anything you do, right? But that's not your job.
Yeah.
And I think, and that has nothing to do with the teachers. That has nothing to do with even.
Yeah. I don't think you're.
It's coming from up there and not from heaven. I'm telling. Like,
right. Department of
Education.
It's
all coming from there.
Federal government.
It is not your job as a school. You're not a counselor. Now you may see a kid like, hey, this child needs counseling. Absolutely, he's got some massive trauma. Sure, I'm sure he or she goes to counseling anyways. And you should probably report to whatever and say, hey, yeah, I saw this. Think this is important. Okay, but. It's not your job to counsel them.
Well, if you think about it, so during the school day, if you're paying for these counseling services, then they're not in the classroom getting.
No, they're not learning anything.
And so then that same person, generally speaking, is now they're going to be behind a class or a lesson from when they were out doing this. Unless they do it at recess, which I don't think they do, right? Because they don't want to take a recess away. Because that's every kid in elementary school looks up to that. Mm-hmm. So it's a slippery slope, but I'm telling you, you're right. You're onto something there, but it takes public participation and feedback because we might be wrong in our individual takes here, and maybe a lot of the town thinks that the school should be a counseling center. I don't think it should be. My personal.
I don't think many of the taxpayers are going to think that.
I don't think so either. There's always a few kids we don't want to get left behind, and we want to make sure that we're doing extra for.
Yes.
Bert Spalding tells a story about himself. He's told it 2 or 3
yes.
times now that, teachers filed and had him taken away from his house because it was bad, and they could see that he wasn't going to end up anywhere good. And even though he did not like the experience that he experienced, he thinks it saved his life.
For it. Yeah. Right. But
now that he's older, he's like, that saved my life. Who knows where I would have been? I didn't care about school. I didn't care about anybody. Had no discipline. And the teachers at the school are the ones that called.
Right. But it's not.
Child services.
Oh, we're going to take Johnny out of class today. He's going to meet with a counselor. Or he's acting up today. We've got to get him some counseling because, maybe he's acting up because he's bored or whatever. Like, your job is to teach. Teach them.
Yeah, like there's somewhere there was a switch because back in the day, like the school wouldn't have put up with me or anybody else being out of control for more than
no.
They would have been like, you need to come get your son.
You couldn't go to kindergarten if you weren't potty trained, but now they take them? Are you kidding me? It's not the teacher's responsibility if your child's not potty trained. It's yours.
Yeah.
You suck as a parent. Potty train your freaking kid. Granted, once again, as I mentioned this before, if your child has a medical thing. But the school's going to know, okay? Right. That's very rare, right? It's not like, every 3 kids coming in out of 100 has got medical issues or whatever. So
I don't understand. Yeah.
It's all this fair bullshit. It's fair. It's got to be fair. It's got to be equal. It's got to be this. It's got to be that.
Well, you can't have equal outcomes.
No, and that's what they're trying to control.
Yeah, that's... So now I don't think it's necessarily our school. It's like
no. This is
higher. Like we're talking esoteric, Department of Education, federal government level,
national,
conspiracy, think tank type stuff.
Right? I watched this video the other day. It was a black lady that got Harvard or something. There was something, but it basically was about testing and how supposedly African Americans don't test as well as I guess white Americans, right? I'm not even say excuse me. Black Americans don't test as good, or blacks or white, whatever. I hate African American, that term. It's so stupid because just because you're black doesn't mean you come from Africa. A buddy of mine's black. He's Dominican. He didn't come from Africa. He's Dominican. So, but minorities are testing lower than whites. So, okay. So then what do we do to fix it? And this is real. This isn't just me running off about something I made up in my head. Or this is legit happening in this country right now, everywhere. And so what they've done is say, well, it's not fair to those people that they're testing lower. So what we're going to do to make it fair and make it more equal, we're going to dumb down everybody so that everybody gets less of an education. So that way the kids that aren't testing as well feel like more equal, more better is not a word, but you know what I'm saying?
Feel better about themselves.
Yeah, feel better about themselves. That is absolute bullshit.
Right. They should be making kids feel better by focusing on what they are good at.
Why don't we see, okay, well, why are these kids not learning as well?
Right.
There has to be a reason, right? It's clearly not that, well, they're just not as smart. No, I don't believe that, and no one believes that. So something's not quite right there. Why don't we fix that? What? But no, so then this black lady got accepted to, I think it was Harvard. I wish I could find the freaking video because I'd play it. But and she was like mad because she's worked her ass off. She's like I tested well and all this. And then she but she's like, I got accepted because I'm black, because they have, quotas. They have to have a certain amount of this race, that race, which is ridiculous. It should be based on test score. And I know originally they changed it based on you'd have racist colleges. Like, let's face it, they just want the white kids. They don't want black kids, right? That's race. That's not okay. So now they've put quotas in. But now the quotas is just like, it's kind of turned around. Now it's reverse racism. Sorry. You have like the best scores we've ever seen. We can't take you. We have to take this person with like bad scores because we need one of them and not one of you. Like, that's freaking racist right there. So I understand originally why they did it is because schools were doing that, right? We don't want the black kids. We want this as a white little society, whatever. Yeah, that's not okay. But now they've just dumbed down everything. They've, this affirmative action is just reverse discrimination if you look at it. And like this lady says, like, I busted my ass to get where I am and well-educated and everything else. But now, like, she's like, I feel inside like, well, maybe they did just let me in because I was black and I didn't score as well or whatever. But in reality, she did. But it's like, what the freaking hell are we doing?
I don't know. I saw a TikTok video. I mean, it was on somebody making fun of woke social justice or whatever, but basically saying that. So it showed a guy saying, hey, let's talk about being on time. Like it was the first part of a video about trying to help people manage time. And then the girl interrupted and was like, well, this is racist, and if you don't believe it, I'm not going to have a conversation with you because being on time and having deadlines, that's a white supremacist way of looking at life. And, I mean, she was being serious. It wasn't satire. Like, you can watch satire like that, but she was dead serious that...
Because she's a moron.
That being on time is a racist...
Right. But that's the excuse for everything.
But
I suck at this, and now I'm going to use it. And it doesn't matter what it is.
And
you're going to find an excuse.
You're not discrediting the fact that there are racist people out there. Like that's
no, we talked about this on our last show. I went off about it.
Right. It's just a matter of like being fair. That's what it.
Let's look at it.
I mean, there's a famous quote saying, "Judge me on my character and not on
color of my skin."
Color of my skin.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, I mean, times have changed since the '60s. Now it's.
But think about it.
Now it's not judge me on my character and
what
my
do you think,
accomplishments, but judge me on my skin color.
What do you think's worse, Steve? So, if you're black and you get a pass because you're black, and we're just going to give you a pass, is that worse to just be like, you're going to just like whatever, or is it worse to say, okay, you know what, we don't want this black person to feel bad because they didn't test as well, so we're just gonna basically make everyone dumber. Like, to me, that's worse. Like, that's looking down upon some group of people. So like,
right. To me,
they're even lower.
There's
we have to dumb
racist.
down.
That's
yes,
racist
that's racist.
Like, I believe anybody can do anything given the proper
right. So your job is, if they're testing
like
and
make the environment better.
Yes.
Make the schooling environment better. But
right.
Like you can't change. Like the standard is the standard.
Exactly. Listen, classes I liked in school, I did well. A's and B's. Classes I had to take in class, like had to take at school, 65 was passing. I get 65, 66. Sometimes I think the teacher liked me, and because I was good in school, was like, all right, what, I had a 64, but I'll give you the 5 so you don't have to redo the class. Like, I told him, like, I sucked in school. So we're going to dumb down the whole school so I don't feel bad because my grades weren't good? No, because I didn't put the effort in. For me, it was all about effort. I didn't try in school. I had a goal, get through school, be done. Like, Zeta, Alicia, Adriano, busted their ass in school, wanted to make good grades, and did it. Did it come easy? No. So we should punish them because I'm not trying and I don't test as well. So we should just
get rid of
take away all the AP courses because, I might walk down the hall and feel bad that I'm not in the AP class. Oh, well.
Study harder.
Yeah, work harder. Oh, you can't tell the student that. You can't put the bully with the person that's getting bullied and expect them to work together because, oh, my God, like.
I look at it this way. I'll never be like as jacked as my cousin or whatever. But I could work out, lose weight, and be more physically fit than I am now. But just because I'm not going to get, the biceps that he has because our bodies are different.
Yeah, we're all different.
Right? To sit here and me to think, well, if I do this for 10 years, I should look exactly like him. No, because genetics are different, right? So his muscle mass might react differently to some protein that my body maybe needs less of that protein but more of another one. It's all individually different depending on our genetic makeup.
It's so pathetic in this country.
You're good at things that I am not good at and vice versa. And then that's when we maximize. And I say, Tim, I need help with this. And you're like, all right, well, I need help with this. And that's how it works out is
exactly.
I get the benefit of your knowledge and strengths. And, in a good society, you get the benefit of mine.
Right.
That's how it works.
But it's
so simple.
And think how stupid it is as a country. We're dumbing down our kids. We falling on that scale of where we rate in the world.
Right.
Why? Because it's easier just to make everyone stupid and they'll just do what the government wants, which, in my mind, and I'm sure yours.
It's not even that they're making them stupid, but I saw an example where, to make math more fair for inner city kids, it was, so they ask you the math question 2 different ways, right? What is this algebraic equation? And then it's multiple choice. And then it also corresponds to a Black History Month question or, Black History question that's who invented this? And if you know that name, then you'll get the math question right because it's the same. So if the answer is C for who invented that, then the math question answer is C. And so you can get the math question right by knowing Black history or, I'm just using Black history, but it was something like that. So if I can, for us, it would be, Romeo and Juliet, right? There's a series of questions, but also there's a math question that correlates with it. And if the answer is Juliet, and I know that it's Juliet, then I'll get the math question right. So I'm passing math, but only because I know Romeo and Juliet. Do you see what I'm saying? How they try to combine the two so that I don't have to know any math. I just got to be able to understand Romeo and Juliet or, whatever historical or, however you want to phrase it. So they've gotten rid of actually doing math work.
Right.
Just one example I saw of that. I'm sure that's probably already been stopped once it made the national news, I would hope. But, to me, that's not... If I were a parent of a kid that went to that school, I'd be like, so you're not teaching my kid math anymore? You're teaching them to memorize history or whatever. That's not the same. I want my daughter to be able to solve a simple algebraic equation because you do need to be able to do algebra to survive in this world.
So you don't think there's any social emotional learning needed for algebra?
No, I don't.
No, it's true.
It's logic and reason.
Yeah.
It's math. It's either right or wrong.
Yeah.
Now, as you get into more complex math problems, you can get partial credit because you might mess up and you know what I mean? So you might put a negative sign or might forget to subtract. Yeah. But if you do 80% of the problem correctly, and then the teacher can identify, oh, he forgot to bring this negative sign down, they can circle that and be like, well, you missed the whole problem, but I'm not going to take it off because you showed that you know how to solve the problem. You just made a second grade error by not putting that
Yeah.
minus sign down in your equation as you solved it. So, there's some partial credit for tougher math, but yeah, like it's pretty much, it's right or wrong. It's logic. It's following a certain set of rules and being able to apply them.
Right.
So I don't know. There's probably no right answer to it, but I know that like not making it easier without teaching them how to solve problems, that's not doing those kids any job. That's not doing them. You watch I get so frustrated because a YouTube video will pop up out on the streets, like what Jay Leno used to do or whatever.
Yeah, man, on the street.
And there's some jackwagons out there that if this is real and it's not satire and they're really answering.
No, I think it's real.
That's scary.
There's a dude who went around like, hey, they just found a Triceratops, and do you think it should be legal to hunt Triceratops? And people are like, no, I don't think we should be able to hunt Triceratops. And like, what's it been, 300 million years, you freaking jackass? Like, but that's,
like we're lacking something as a society. We're not teaching
pushing
them.
our kids to be better. We're not doing that. We're just giving them excuses why to not succeed at something, in my opinion.
Yeah. I try to teach Zeta, like, you failed, you need to try harder.
Yeah. But like and then there's times when Lydia brings her math work to, or just her work, not just math, but like brings her work to her, and I like look at it, I'm like, what the freaking hell has this got to do with anything? Like, how is this going to be something she uses in life? Like, I'm thinking, for instance, if you like geometry and these kinds of things is valuable, you realize how much more knowledge they could obtain and better they would be at it if you were to give them, which we used to have in Newport and we don't anymore, and I'm sure we'll never get again, would be woodworking. Do you know how many times in building in the last couple of months I've tried to figure out something with a measurement, a size, a shape, something, right? Do you know what they could have learned by physically doing it and seeing? Because they sit there and like, this is stupid. Why do I care about this? But then go in and they make a bowl, say, or they whatever, make a table, and they do it. And then they not only learnt geometry, measurements, all these different things, and how to use the equipment, but then at the end of the class or whatever, you look, I made this table, I made this, I made this. But I learned so much, and I was showed by doing this how important that stupid thing was that I'll never use, right? Because I thought back, like, man, like when I was in school, like it disappeared right as I was leaving school, I think, or just before I graduated. But like we had woodworking, like there was carving. I took carving a couple, like that was so much fun. Like we had different things like that, and we do have some things now. Obviously, like we have awesome CTE. We're very blessed to have that because I swear that's the lifesaver for the kids in Newport. There's so many opportunities in there, but there's things like that. I think like this is something that
when I subbed at the high school 4 years ago, and I was talking to a teacher that was like Zeta's homeroom teacher, and so we were sitting there talking in the hallway in between classes, and this student walked by that had missed her class, but she was out like on a forestry thing. And so the teacher was like, oh, hey, we missed you. If you swing by, I'll give you your work to make up. And the girl said something about, I just love forestry. I don't really care about math. And I was like, well, algebra is important because it was an algebra class. I was like, well, algebra is important for forestry too. And the student was like, F you, to my face. This was like right outside of Miss Martin's office, like in that hallway right there in the main hallway. But she said it loud. And I was like a substitute. And I was like, what? Did she just talk to me like that? And I wanted to, like, number one, kid, I don't know anything about forestry, but I can give you a math problem right now that we can put into an algebraic equation, you jackass you don't realize who you're talking to here, but you want to manage a forest. I can sit here and think of, okay, weather patterns, growth, all this stuff has to be taken into effect, sun, angle, rays, whatever. If you're going to manage the edges of a forest, I'm just thinking, I don't even know anything about forestry, but I can think of like 3 different algebra equations I could give this kid. But she's so clueless that, number one, she's talking to an adult. She doesn't know anything about me. and it tells me to F off because I'm like, oh, well, algebra is important for forestry too. You know, like just trying to be a positive role model adult. Like, hey, don't dismiss algebra. She told me to F off, man. High school, yeah, I think she might have been like a sophomore or junior. Like, has no idea what I know and what you know what I mean? Like, you're so clueless, young person, young lady. That was just ridiculous. I never will forget. That was like one of my first experiences substituting. Was like this kid telling me to F off when I was like, oh, well, and I wasn't being like smug or anything else.
Right.
Hey, well, you know, algebra is important for forestry too. You got to be able to. Like, what? So anyway, that was like. So to me, the kids don't understand how to relate it, right? So like, if they don't understand that they're doing geometry when they're doing woodworking,
right,
then that also is a failure, right? So you got to be able to have that conversation about angles and.
I mean, I find like kids that can't I'll look at for instance, tip. You go to a restaurant, you think in the tip, and then you got the amount of cost, the amount of tip, and then the total rate. You actually write those in. So I just do it in my head. It's super quick and easy. But I find that, especially younger kids, younger generation, not, like Lydia's age, like that area and down, right? No clue. Can't. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't? All right,
Like multiply by, like if it's a 15% tip, right. Multiply by 10, and then take half of that and add it on to whatever
it's like
you
they
got
don't have
by
any
10.
Of those little things.
If it's 20, multiply by 2, move your freaking decimals over. Very simple.
They don't have it. It's not there. I don't get it. It should be.
They're not thinking like so. Imagine the problem. We solved so many problems when we were kids. The bicycle tire goes flat and it's 2:00 on a Tuesday. The group of kids have got to figure out, can we fix this flat? Right. Or the bike gets tossed and you move on to something else. But a lot of times you try to work on the bike. Right. Nowadays everybody just sits there. And it was a lot worse with your generation, you millennials, sit there next to each other, texting each other instead of.
See, I never had stuff see,
yeah, but you know what I mean. Like you're older.
I'm an old millennial because 83.
Like the younger,
yeah,
the younger group. But I like to just,
yeah.
I mean, you're basically Gen X at 83. That's like a cusp. But anyway, I like to call you millennial because it chafes your.
I know, it pisses me off.
It chafes you a little bit.
No, because my one of my friends, same way. Like she's a couple years younger than me, still a millennial, but she's like, no, I feel like the millennials that were born in the 80s are more like the Gen X, and then the older ones are more like today's, and then like Gen, what is it, Z? This generation's Z. Yeah.
Gen Z is kind of like they're bipolar because half of them are like you want them working for you because they don't put up with because they see it for what it is, buffoonery. But then you got the ones that have totally bought into this.
Yeah, they need a
communist
break, safe
propaganda.
Room.
Yeah,
like
I need to fly with a kitten because
yes.
What? Shut up and get on the flight, man. We're all nervous every time that. We all get a little shake, and we're like, deal with it. They don't have coping mechanisms. They don't have coping skills.
Because we don't teach them that.
Yeah, we teach them all that they're victims.
Yes.
Even the aggressor is the victim.
Yes. Yeah. That shit needs to stop.
No. There's usually clearly, most times, a lot of times, there's a clear victim and aggressor.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. All right. We're going to have to show up, but I want to talk about so tomorrow the weather. We don't ever talk about weather on the show except like snow sucks. But so tomorrow is going to be, according to WMUR, Communist News Channel. I know I use it too. But so tomorrow's 37, a low at 10 at night. But then it's kind of changed on here. Friday is going to be 15 for the high and -9.
It'll probably be a little bit colder out this way.
They're saying wind chills like -45 is what I heard. Originally, I heard the high on Saturday was only going to be like 9 degrees. So I kind of wonder if it's changed some too. Yeah, see, let's change it to the good old.
Put in old Newport's.
Puerto Rico. 10 days. Ooh, you suck. Well, there we go. Yeah, see?
So -14. There it is.
There we go. So Friday night in Newport, according to this, -14. But it's supposed to be windy, I guess, with like -45 wind chill. So be one of the coldest days of the year. Maybe one of the coldest days in a couple of years, though, because last one wasn't too bad, right? So Saturday, 11 for the high and 0 at night, which that actually changed a little bit because it was supposed to be like negative at night. But so we have the deliberate session Saturday at 9 a.m. It's going to be a cold-ass morning. So Friday, Saturday, you got to go out into the weather. You got to do stuff like you have to be prepared because this is the weather that you will freeze to death and die in. It's not like, oh, it's 38 degrees.
Put your extra blanket in the car. Get you some water.
Stay home if you can.
Yeah, stay home.
If you can stay home, stay home.
I wouldn't travel very far. You don't want to get caught out in this stuff. I mean, it doesn't. There's no. It's just going to be cold, right? There's no snow. There's no rain.
No snow. Just cold.
It's really, really cold and windy.
All right. I have a meme of the day. We haven't done one in a while. Wow.
I thought you were going to do one on the last show, but
sometimes I forget, or I'm like, oh shit, it's going a little long. Whatever. You can watch me, hate me, block me, but the one thing you cannot do is stop me. I like that one. I think it's really good. Fits with the show.
Well, yeah, that's what we want the kids to be able to do too.
Yes, that should be on their freaking wall at school.
And there's a tiger on there.
And there's a tiger. We'll bring this forward, won't we? All right, guys. So thanks for watching.
Appreciate it.
Maybe on Rumble if I figure that out. On YouTube until we get kicked off. You can leave us feedback. You can do it on Facebook, YouTube, or just send us an email at timandsteveshow@gmail.com. And stay warm. It's still kind of cold out today, but Friday and Saturday are gonna suck. And we're gonna do. So we've basically want to do at this point looking at doing 3 shows a week. So we're gonna do one tomorrow because you got a meeting on Friday. But getting into it more. Actually, someone called me the other day like, "Hey, how do I sponsor your show?" I was like, "Ooh." So I'm like, "Well, it's this per day to sponsor because it used to be by the week, but we were doing 5 shows, and I'm like, can't commit to that, so we'll just do it daily." And so he's gonna let me know when he gets his logo. So I'm excited about that, and maybe we can bring some more people in too. So.
Nice. And we're giving out all kinds of free advertising. We had MMA we've talked about.
Newport MMA, acai bowls that you can't find around here, but
Shabby to Chick, talked about them on the first show back. I think I talked about them.
Get out, support your local businesses. Do something to like every day. You should it should be a goal to what have I done today to help somebody else?
Well, that's what Zeta has said. Like the difference she thinks, because she went to private school, it's like through 3rd or 4th grade. They always had to set their goals and write them up on the board, and they were very good at trying to help each other stick to it. But she was like, we put our goals up. Like if we're about to take a test, we all went and wrote what our goal was for it.
Right.
And she was like, I really feel like that was a difference between her public education and her private. She was like, private, they put a lot of emphasis on goal setting and always striving to be better, kind of like what you're saying. So it's a little
something to work on.
Little empathy for you. I can relate through my daughter's own experiences.
Yeah. Last show, I apologize. I don't know. I couldn't get the green screen to do what I wanted. 86 shows, and it's the first one I've had that kind of issue where I said, "All right, Steve, we just gonna have to run with it because I can't
put
fix
it in the description. Tim wears green and messes up the green screen.
I swear I've wore that shirt before too, or you did, and didn't have an issue.
Yeah,
but
I think it was me.
I don't know.
I think I had it on.
The problem is we've gone
3 months.
without
doing it daily.
So I've forgotten things, and so. But anyways, that was my fault.
Thanks for putting up with us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hopefully you're still watching, and reach out, stay warm, do something nice for somebody today. Like that should be a goal every day. It's small things, Matt. Like hold the door open for somebody, or
I'm old school like that. That whole BS. Like if you're older than me or a woman, I'm opening the door for you if I'm there around you.
Just some
I don't care. And if somebody was like, "Yeah," I'd be like, "Whatever."
Yeah,
you're welcome. You know what I mean?
And if you disagree with everything we say on the show, and you're like, sit in that chair any day you want, let me know. We'll have you come in and
tell us how we're all jacked up.
Yeah,
have a discussion.
It's open to anyone, anytime. So cool. All right, guys. Thanks for watching the Tim and Steve Show. We will see you tomorrow.